So you probably think of yourself as an investor, right? You've got a retirement account, maybe some stocks, maybe you're saving up for a house. But what if the global financial system isn't actually designed to make you wealthy? What if its real purpose is to turn your life into a predictable, recurring revenue stream for someone else? Yeah, that's the big question we're tackling today. We're going to pull back the curtain on a kind of hidden economy, one that's built on these clever psychological tricks that keep most of us just paying, all while a very select few own the platforms that are collecting all that cash. All right, so let's get right into it. The first trap, and honestly, it might be the biggest one, is this huge shift away from actually owning things to, well, just using them. There's a name for this: Techno-Feudalism. It sounds kind of dramatic, but think about it. It's like this quiet, creeping demotion. You used to be a citizen, someone who could build up assets, build equity. Now, you're just an active user. And the moment you stop paying that subscription, poof, you own absolutely nothing. You're basically just renting access to your own life. And this slide really breaks it down. Look at the difference. The old way was simple: one-time sales. A company made a great product, you bought it, done. But the new model? It's all about something called annual recurring revenue, or ARR. And you have to get this, because Wall Street is obsessed with it. They love that predictable, steady income way more than a one-time purchase. In this new world, your consistent monthly payment, that's the real product. And look, this isn't just some crazy theory. It's happening right now. Have you bought a new car lately? You might have stumbled right into the subscription trap. You fork over, what, 50 grand for the car itself, but then you have to pay another 18 bucks a month just to activate the heated seats that are already physically in the car. You're literally paying a ransom for hardware you already own. Okay, so you can see how this works with small stuff. But now let's scale it up, because this same logic applies to the biggest purchase most people will ever make in their entire lives: their home. Check out this number: $10 trillion. That's the estimated value of the Australian housing market. It's just a mind-boggling figure, and it shows you exactly what happens when a country turns a basic human need, shelter, into a massive speculative financial casino. And this chart really puts that number in perspective. The entire country's housing market is worth 4 times more than its whole annual economic output. It's created this bizarre situation where a house just sitting there can earn more in a year than a person working a full-time job inside of it. Crazy, right? And here's the tough pill to swallow. For the folks who got in early, a house isn't about having a place to live. It's a generational wealth escalator. But for young people trying to buy in today, you're not really building wealth for yourself. You are the wealth. You're the yield. Your huge mortgage payment is what's funding the retirement of the generation before you. So when asset prices like houses go through the roof, it creates this massive problem for the whole financial system. Where do big funds like retirement funds find safe, reliable returns anymore? Well, that desperate search for profit, for yield, leads us straight to our next trap. And this one puts retirement money itself on the chopping block. Some people are calling it the vampire strategy. So here's how it goes down. These giant private equity firms, they come in and take over the pension funds from big corporations. They promise, don't worry, we'll pay out the retirees. But then they take all that capital, your retirement savings, and they ship it offshore to places like Bermuda. Why? Because the rules there are looser, which lets them make much, much riskier bets. And this is the really crucial part. Once that money is offshore, we're talking about grandma's money here, it gets thrown into these super high-risk, high-yield investments, things like private credit, which is just a fancy term for high-interest loans to shaky companies, or leveraged buyouts. Now, if those bets hit the jackpot, the private equity firm pockets the profit. But if they go bust, well, it's the pensioners' retirement funds that get wiped out. It's the classic privatize the profits, socialize the risk. Heads they win, tails you lose. Okay, so we've seen the trap set for the 99%. So what about the ultra-wealthy? Well, they don't play the game. They just opt out. They activate what you could call Geopolitical God Mode. In Monaco is the perfect example. You have the global elite paying like $3 million for a tiny one-bedroom apartment. They're not buying the view. They're buying the residency permit that comes with it. And why? Because that little piece of paper gets them the holy grail, a 0% income tax rate. And as you can see, it goes way beyond just taxes. What they're really buying is the absence of the state's hand in their pocket. They're also buying into what's been called a panopticon of peace,
a place with so much surveillance and security that you can walk around wearing a $200,000 watch at 3 in the morning without a single worry. They've literally turned safety into a luxury good and built themselves an escape hatch from the rules the rest of us have to follow.
All right, for this last part, let's zoom all the way out. Because when you look at the whole global financial system, you start to realize the entire system is the trap. Take a look at this number, $38 trillion. That's the US national debt. Now, we're always told this is a ticking time bomb, right? A suicide vest strapped to the global economy. But what if that's not how the people running the system actually see it? Because for the big global banks, that massive mountain of debt is actually pristine collateral. In fact, get this, under international banking rules, they are legally required to hold US debt on their books. It's not a bug in the system, it's the fundamental feature that makes the whole thing inescapable. And what that does is it creates a Hotel California for global money. Yeah, other countries can complain all they want that the game is rigged against them, but they can never actually leave the game. They have to keep buying US debt because it's the only collateral that the system accepts. Like the song says, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So, where does all this leave you and me? Well, the first step is just to change how you see things. If you don't want to be a host organism for somebody else's bottom line, you have to stop thinking like a user and start seeing these huge structural traps for what they are. The real physics of money, it turns out, isn't just about saving and investing.